Hi, it's Andy here at Photech Video. If you think that you need a DSLR or a mirrorless camera to take photos like this one, or that you need an app on your phone which gives you complete manual control of the settings on your camera, think again. Stay with me because in this video, I'm going to show you how to take photos like this on the Google Pixel 8 using just the stock camera at the touch of a button. And at the end of this video, I will show you more examples taken using this mode and also give you a top tip if you're trying to decide between buying the Google Pixel 8 and the Google Pixel 8 Pro for their photographic capabilities. So, you may know that I have several cameras. The Nikon D600 DSLR, the Panasonic S5 mirrorless camera, and the Sony ZV E10 mirrorless camera also. And if I wanted to take photos like this one, I could do so on any of those cameras if I know the correct settings for this particular type of photo. However, not everybody has a DSLR camera or a mirrorless camera, or maybe they're just not carrying it with them when they want to take the photo. But most people carry their mobile phone with them everywhere, and therefore it's just a question of whipping out your phone, setting the function, and snapping the photo. A few months ago, I decided to upgrade my phone, and I began to look at the functions of the Google Pixel 8 and the Google Pixel 8 Pro in their photographic capabilities. In the end, because there was a difference of several $100s between one and the other, I decided on the Pixel 8. Now, in this video, I'm not going to talk about the differences between the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro as mobile devices, or go into detail about the differences between them in their photographic capabilities. What I am going to talk about today is one particular function in the stock camera of the Google Pixel 8. And I will talk about other modes, functions and features of the Google Pixel 8 stock camera in future videos. So, from the research I did online, comparing the Pixel 8 to the Pixel 8 Pro, I found that apart from the fact that they have slightly different cameras, Google treats the user of the Pixel 8 more as an amateur photographer, and they treat the user of the Pixel 8 Pro more as a professional or semi-professional photographer who understands more about photography and camera settings. If you're thinking of buying a Pixel 8 or a Pixel 8 Pro, or you want to check out some of the gear used in the making of this video, please click on my affiliate links in the description section down below. The cost will be the same to you, and I will receive a small commission which will help me to continue creating content for you on my channel. The camera settings in the Pixel 8 are quite simple and do not offer all camera setting control, whereas I understand that the Pixel 8 Pro does. So, what is this function that I'm talking about, and how can we use it to create photos which look like they were taken by a professional without the knowledge of how to do it at the simple press of a button? Well, on the Pixel 8, this mode is called long exposure. And today, we are just going to concentrate on this particular function of the Pixel 8 stock camera. In the photo mode, let's select long exposure, and there we can see an icon at the bottom on the left-hand side of the screen, which is the settings cog. And if we click there, we can see that we have 3 parameters that we can change. We can add a 3-second or 10-second timer to delay the shutter release and therefore possibly reduce camera shake. We can turn the macro function for close-up photography on or off, or put it in automatic mode. And we can change the size ratio of the image from a 16:9 wide crop to a 4:3 full sensor image. If we look at the bottom on the right-hand side, we will see the 3 control lines. And by clicking there, we can change the brightness, shadow, and the white balance of the photo. And at the bottom in the middle, we can also change the zoom of the photo from 0.5 times magnification, which is wide angle, right up to 8 times zoom. I may be wrong, but I think that everything over 1 times is using digital zoom, and therefore quality may be reduced. And that is basically all the parameters which we can control on the Google Pixel 8 in the stock camera long exposure mode. If I wanted to take a photo like this on my DSLR or mirrorless cameras, I would need to set the shutter speed to the correct duration to obtain the desired shutter drag movement effect and the aperture and ISO to obtain a correct exposure. By using the long exposure mode on the Pixel 8 stock camera, all I need to do is hold up the phone and press the shutter release button, and hold the camera still until it's finished processing the photo. Now, I must be honest and say that it is a little hit and miss, as you may get different results in the same situation. However, this could be attributed to the speed at which objects are moving across the plane of the photo. This is certainly true in the case of long exposure shutter drag photography on DSLR and mirrorless cameras. I was really blown away by how simple it was to obtain a quality long exposure shutter drag effect photo on the Pixel 8. If you've ever tried to do this on a DSLR or mirrorless camera, you will know that it can take quite some time playing with your shutter speed, aperture and ISO to get it right. And you would probably need to set your camera up on a tripod. When you press the shutter release button on the Pixel 8 in the long exposure mode, a message comes up telling you to hold still, which of course refers to keeping the phone as still as possible during the process, and you will see a small circle being drawn, which becomes a complete circle when the process has finished. If you click on the bottom left-hand side photo review button, it will open the photo which you have just taken, and you will have 2 versions of the same photo. One which is the long exposure version, and the other which is as if it were taken in automatic mode at a faster shutter speed. Now, there is something strange about the Pixel 8 long exposure mode, and I'm really not sure how the Pixel 8 creates the long exposure version of the photo. Because if we click at the top on the right-hand side and select Details and scroll down, we can see some of the EXIF data for each of the photos. And as you can see, they both have the same shutter speed, aperture, and ISO values, which seems to me to be impossible to have the same exposure values if the photos are so different from each other. So I assume that if the shutter speed, aperture, and ISO values are the same for the long exposure shutter drag effect photo and the other photo without this long exposure shutter drag effect, that what is really happening while that small circle is being drawn during the process, the time it takes to complete that circle and process is not the shutter speed of the long exposure version of that photo, but the amount of time which it takes the Pixel 8 to process a number of photos taken one after the other with the same shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, and join them together to create a long exposure shutter drag effect photo. And I imagine that the reason why the message "hold still" appears is not to reduce camera shake, but to keep each of the individual photos which the Pixel 8 is going to use in the process together on the same focal plane. Now, this is only my assumption, and I may be wrong. I'm just trying to come to a logical explanation for having the same exposure values on the 2 totally different photos. However, if you have a better explanation, then I would love to hear it. Please add it to the comments section down below, and I will be very grateful to you and, of course, reply to your comment. Anyway, however it's done, the important thing is the end result. And the end result certainly looks like a long exposure shutter drag effect photograph. And remember, all of this was just with the press of the shutter release button. As well as the long exposure mode, the Pixel 8 stock camera also offers, at just the press of a button, some other excellent modes which create some amazing results, but do not require any previous photographic knowledge to achieve. Action pan for freezing the subject and blurring the background to create the impression of speed. Portrait mode for creating sharp, in-focus subjects with a dreamy bokeh in the background to create separation. Night sight for low light scenes. Panorama for taking photos of wide scenes. The Pixel 8 takes a series of photos as you move it across the plane of the scene, and then it stitches them all together to create one wide panoramic photograph. The Pixel 8 also has some really useful video modes, including normal video mode up to 4K at 60 frames per second on both the back camera and the front-facing selfie camera, pan mode for super smooth video pans at half speed with the sound muted, blur mode for capturing videos with a cinematic blur effect around the subject, slow motion mode up to 240 frames per second in 1080p, which is slowed down by 8 times, and time-lapse mode for creating those short, fast-moving videos of the passing of longer time periods, sped up to 120 times at 4K. And on top of all these modes for creating amazing artistic results at the touch of a button without any photographic knowledge, the Pixel 8 also has a suite of AI tools called Magic Editor, which you can use to edit, improve, change your photos and video. And this Magic Editor includes a function called Magic Eraser for removing objects from your photos with the swipe of a finger. I will talk more about these other features and modes that the Pixel 8 offers in future videos. Okay, so let's have a look at some other example photos which I took on my Google Pixel 8 using the stock camera in the long exposure mode. Well, there you have it. To be quite honest, I am very surprised and very happy with the results, as I was able to capture some less typical photos in typical everyday settings at the press of a button without the need or the knowledge required normally to obtain this type of long exposure shutter drag effect. And best of all I needed was my phone. So before I go, I'd just like to give you one of my top tips, as I promised at the beginning of this video. If the main reason that you decide you want to buy the Pixel 8 Pro as opposed to the cheaper Pixel 8 is that the Pixel 8 does not have manual mode, remember that you can always download a camera app from the Google Play Store which has a manual mode, and other features which the Pixel 8 Pro may also have, but the Pixel 8 doesn't because of either hardware restrictions or because the function has been capped in the stock camera of the Pixel 8. I use the Camera FV5 app in its Pro version, which cost me just $4, and it is an amazing app which opens up the possibilities of changing shutter speed, ISO values, and white balance on your Pixel 8, as well as offering metering modes and a whole host of other functions. Well, I hope you liked this video and found it interesting and informative. A short while ago, I was talking to a friend and I asked her if she had subscribed to my channel. And she told me that she already had a Spotify subscription and a Netflix subscription, and that she couldn't afford to pay for any other subscriptions. And when I mentioned this to other friends, some of them had also understood the meaning of subscription in the same way. YouTube uses the term subscribe, whereas other social media platforms use the term follow. Subscribing to a channel on YouTube is free. It won't cost you any money and it will help the channel to grow. So if you liked this video and you also like this type of content, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring on that notification bell to be notified every time a new video drops on my channel. So until the next time, this is Andy at Photech Video signing off. Take care and be safe.